Hi, come right in. Welcome to the Open Text Solution Extension SolEx Online Expo today. As a global technology and professional services partner to OpenText, we are very pleased to participate in this event, and which is going for uh, it's going to last for the next 2 days to be hosted and accessed, excuse me, by participants all across the world, 7 by 24. Welcome. Today we have the pleasure to present Bridge Connector, which is developed as part of our R&D innovation program and now used in a number of client installations. A quick intro of Fastman, established since 2006. We have been a long-time partner with OpenText and DocuSign. Best known for our products such as Permissions Manager, Fastman Bulk Data Manager, DocuSign Connector for OT Suite, etc. These are widely used in industry sectors such as utilities, energy, finance, insurance, banking, manufacturing, public sector, etc. Not to forget, of course, today we will be sharing with you a Fastman Bridge Connector. Fastman has key offices in Australia and North America and representation presence in Singapore and Europe. This session will be presented by very experienced Brian Lapone, who has done a lot of work in this area as well. You can submit questions at the Q&A panel along the presentation, and then we'll try and assist you with that. And certainly you can submit questions after the event as well. Feel free. Thank you. And Brian, over to you.
Oh, thanks for that introduction, and good morning, good afternoon, everyone, no matter where you may be for the Solex Expo. And again, thank you for attending this video recording webinar. Today, we're going to present the Fastman Bridge Connector, which is a very useful solution to help you conduct large and complex moves within your OpenText content suite and extended ECM system, along with streamlining the various steps that goes along with it. I'm Brian Lapointe. I'm the Vice President of Sales for North America, and pleased to be joined with my colleagues from Fastman on this webinar today. We have a lot of experience, been working in the OpenText ecosystem for many years, and we're always, again, open for sharing best practices. As we mentioned in the introductions here, during this SolEx presentation, we'll be monitoring the chat capability with the webinar. So please ask your questions, or even later on, or even in there, if you want to request a one-on-one deep dive at a later time, we're always available to do those. So without further ado, let's kind of get started here. So, okay, moving along here. Let me set the stage here real quick. The situation comes from the Fastman is known for its bulk data management solution, which is, it's widely used by the OpenText content suite customers that want to conduct, essentially data migrations using their non-technical in-house staff. Many times it's these business users or knowledge managers or even records managers that are doing the actual migration from your shared drives and legacy document management systems. And basically a common request that we get is, can Fastman BDM help, basically help us, move content from one branch of a taxonomy in Content Suite, in my OpenText Content Suite, to another branch but not only just move it, but move it with the associated metadata, permissions, and I need to make some other updates. I know that I can use, the basic move function within Content Server, but it's very clunky, and it can be time consuming and overall hard to manage when multiple users and large quantities of documents and folders are involved, okay? So we here at Fastman produced a solution which is driven by customer demand and input and actual business requirements. So it's live in production that leverages your existing investment in several Fastman tools, and it drives the managed move. Okay, so let's take a closer look. There we go. So you may be asking, when and why is this really needed? So let me illustrate just a few scenarios to you. So maybe might help make this a little clearer. Possibly after you did a data migration, when the files are kind of dumped into a temporary content suite location, and you're looking to reorganize them at a later time. Why might you be doing this? Because the business rules and classifications still need to be decided. So you didn't know that up front, and you were going to figure it out later as part of your plan, which is fine. And sometimes there's a rush to retire that source legacy system. Maybe it's a cloud subscription to Box or SharePoint Online, or it could be anything that you're retiring, and you have a drop dead date on it. So that's why you brought it in. Another scenario might be during the life cycle of Content Suite that you've been administrating. The business requirements or the business requires a reorganization of the content because the business has changed, and that sometimes can be very sudden and urgent, resulting from a merger or acquisition, where essentially it's just again, new rules apply. So anyways, in the chat window, I encourage you to use that. We're always looking for other use cases where you may have encountered when and why you need something like this. So feel free to share that with us. That feedback's always very welcome and helpful too. So let's move along. So voila, let's take a look. Please allow me to introduce Fastman's Bridge Connector. And what does it do? So let's talk about a little bit what it does here. Essentially, it connects the Fastman Bulk Data Manager and Permissions Manager tools within Content Suite, and it adds the Fastman Manage Move module and a dashboard to drive the process. So you got our popular tools. How can you more tightly use it within a business process within Content Suite? The Manage Move button here really helps with that piece, and we're going to show you that shortly. And it gives you a dashboard. The other thing it does, what it really does, it also guides the business users through a process of normalizing your content, and it tracks all the jobs at this dashboard level. It can support multiple business users participating in the process at the same time too. So to be a little more specific, it performs moving documents to new folders, adding and updating categories and attributes, performing name changes, permission changes, and then cleaning up the whole process that's been involved as needed. Okay, are you ready to take a closer look at it in action? Okay, here we go. As I mentioned on the previous slide, the Bridge Connector includes a Fastman Manage Move module, and you can see it right here in the container. And it's used to start your job, and you do so by using the multi-select Manage Move button in the regular container or the collection within Content Suite. The button will appear if the user has the proper usage privilege and sufficient permissions on the workflow map. Clicking the button displays the Manage Move page that lets you set the destination and name of the job and workflows. It's important to mention that several checks are performed during the page load, including one, if you have permissions to delete on selected items, and two would be that there's no reserved items which the user can't unreserve, and three, just as important, whether or not the move throttle within Content Suite has been exceeded. So clicking that initiate move, these various checks are done for each selected source item to make sure the move will be successful. When no errors are found, the workflow is initiated. Prior to initiating the workflow, what happens is a search query object is created, which contains configuration to search below every selected source item, and other key information is saved to the workflow attributes. At the end of the workflow, an event script is used to delete the search query that was created during initiation of the workflow. Again, this is all packaged and driven by the Manage Move module, and that's kind of there's a variety of steps and things that happen behind the background to guarantee success. At this point, the knowledge worker is guided through the process steps with detailed and configurable instructions. And these are the different steps right here. And you have configurable instructions right here, which is nice for them. And these are just examples of two of the steps that are included here. And then the dashboard shows all the running jobs, status, and quick access links to your team's assignments. The dashboard allows the output to be exported to an Excel. You can export it to Excel, and even the rows of the tables of users are color based on your preferences and so forth. The table itself shows the names of the initiator and item handler steps drawn directly and dynamically from the workflow map at runtime and sorted in the order of their step name. Okay, so this is generated right off the workflow, which is nice. We'll be making this deck and presentation video available afterwards to everyone who registered so that you can share with others on your team. But, please take a moment at this point. If you have any questions in your chat window, I have more slides to share. But, again, we do welcome the feedback. Okay, next, let's take our time here and let's look at a few specific steps in the job, okay? An important part of the Fastman Bridge Connector is its interoperability with Bulk Data Manager. First, you access the BDM step from the workflow job. You can preview the configurable instructions right here, and then launch BDM straight from Content Server. This really simplifies and reduces the clicks for the business user focused on completing the work. Okay, so by clicking here, I can launch BDM straight into it, and from within BDM, the user is prompted to run the save search and update the attributes according to your business rules. As you can see from the screenshots, you have access to the familiar BDM spreadsheet to make your changes as you normally do, and when complete, the business user just clicks finish and Content Suite is updated. So you click finish, and then you can come over and approve your step here to send on, and you can be on to the next step right here. But this is how you can manage the process within that flow. Same for Permissions Manager. Okay, the Fastman Bridge Connector makes it easy to review and apply permissions as part of the job. First, you access the Permissions Manager step from the workflow. So you have your instructions here. You can get access to the step right here. And then you can preview the instructions and then again, launch it straight from the job and take you right in. Full Permissions Manager functionality is available to you to complete your work by making the necessary permission changes. And when complete, the business user just returns to the workflow assignment, and just click Send On to finish this part of the job. As simple as that. Worth spotlighting, the managed move can be initiated from a collection. In this scenario, you'll be using the standard out-of-the-box Content Suite functionality to create a collection as if it was your own shopping cart. So as you can see, we're clearly in a collection here, and managed move is showing up in the container right here. And like I said, you would use it as a shopping cart. And so, when it's full, you can check out by clicking the Manage Move button to initiate the processing. Again, those same checks are performed behind the scenes for delete and unreserved permissions, move throttle, and then the search query object and event scripts will be stored too. As you can see, collections are another useful way to really complete your work here in this scenario too. Finally, the Fastman Managed Move workflow governs this business process used to carry out the move. The steps of the process are geared towards the business requirements identified by Fastman. However, any other process steps required could be added or existing steps changed to meet other customer requirements. In the interest of keeping the process as universally applicable as possible, no non-standard workflow components have been used, okay? And this includes things like XML workflow extensions, web report extensions for workflow. As listed in the slide, we have additional steps for managing, cross-references or adding categories and renaming folders. If there's any other items you think you may need to do, these all can be added, and feel free to enter them in the chat if you can think of a few other things that sometimes happen during your moves that you need to do, as we create a library of events that we can help you with right here too. Okay, so really at the end of the day, it's that managed move module that does all the background checks that guarantee success. It is the interoperability to some of the popular existing solutions with Permissions Manager, and then that dashboard, pulling it all together, that allows you as a team with non-technical people to, again, to normalize your content and get it into a structure that makes it more useful. And that's what the solution is capable of doing. To wrap up today's presentation, I wanted to quickly highlight that the Fastman Permissions Suite, Management Suite, which is made up of several popular add-on solutions for Content Server, such as Permissions Manager, as many people are familiar with, is our flagship solution, and it's the most widely deployed. However, companies do look to Fastman to stay in license compliance by managing their read-only licenses with Access Manager. And then furthermore, Bulk Data Manager enables your business users and records managers, IT staff, to perform the data migrations into Content Server taxonomies and even update attributes as needed. And finally, Fastman provides an out-of-the-box connector for DocuSign Content Suite. This is very helpful for organizations suddenly operating remotely under COVID-19 protocols and needing to enable users to approve documents should still have the proper controls to enable this. And with that, I think we're done with today's presentation. I want to thank everyone for attending. At this point here, we're going to take a look at some of the chat questions and review a few of the questions here. But as far as contact points at Fastman go, we have myself for the Americas, Alistair handles EMEA, and of course Wang handling APJ. And at this point, I think we'll pause and take some questions.
Now, as an added bonus, we thought it might be a good idea to insert or to show you a little quick demo on a customer use case for this product. And this customer, as you can see from the slide, has a existing content server system. They had decommissioned an older system and imported content into their OpenText system, but we're looking to improve the way the system could be used, the metadata and the structure of the content in that system. And so they've implemented the bridge connector along with the Bulk Data Manager and Permissions Manager from Fastman. So Brian's going to run you through a quick demo now to show you just exactly how it looks in real world use. Over to you, Brian.
Very good. Thanks for that, Alistair. And people familiar with Content Server, Content Suite know what the workflow and the workflow maps may look like, but this is the 8-step process that CNL goes through. There's more steps to it, but there's specific ones that we've already mentioned today about the BDM and the Permissions Manager, and this is the process that you'll see us going through within Content Suite. We'll just minimize, and there we go. In my browser, we'll go full screen. And now we're in Content Suite. This is basically the Fastman demo environment that we have. You can see that we're running version 16.2, 16.2.11, but rest assured this is certified for 20.2, 20.3 on Content Server. We do keep things up to date. We set up a little sandbox environment here to kind of demonstrate the bridge connector, and there's that Manage Move button that we were talking about right next to the Move button. So there's Move that's out of the box that comes with Content Suite, and then you have the Manage Move module from Fastman that gives you a little more controls. To make the demonstration, to make it just a little easier to follow along and so forth, we created some highlights up here, as you can see. The source document folder, and basically where we're going to grab the documents from, and a destinations document, and there's our handy little dashboard that we were talking about too. So let me just go into the source documents, and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit here. So the concept here is that I want to process some documents and move them to another section of the Contents Suite system, right? I'm going to focus in on a specific folder structure that I have. I call it Job 7 today because I have some data already, and there's a team of us working on it, if you would imagine. I'll just come into this folder real quick, and it's a collection of it's documents in this workspace. There's some subfolders here too, and so forth. It's just the way it's simple structure to some folders here, right? So what I want to do is move it to another location, and so I would just have to. Oh, I guess I went up too far. Come to my source. I'll select that folder. I want to move that folder. And at this point, I want to initiate a managed move. Click the button. Takes me here to the managed move. If I didn't have the rights to actually move this folder or touch this folder or do any, it would give me a message right here saying immediately that I didn't have the ability to do it. So that's one of the first good things. That module does these checks behind the scenes. And so now where do I want to move it to? I'm going to move that object, that job 7 object, and everything within that below it. And I want to move it now to a specific folder in Content Server. And I'm going to move it into the destination. Okay. I also, because it's using a workflow at this point, need to kick that off, and it's good to give it a name. When I click initiate, it's going to do a little more checks behind the scenes and validate. See the validation section right here? It's going to go real quick and hard to see possibly, but that move throttle is being checked and so forth too at the same time here. So those, if those checks are occurring when I do that. So when I click initiate, that's what's going to occur here. So I click initiate. That workflow job is now being processed. If there was any problem right now, we get feedback so we can take corrective action. We don't start a workflow, start a job, and have to worry about hours, days, whenever later, especially when you get multiple ones going. Hey, is it working? I know this, up front that this job is started and in process. And click return, and it'll take me back to that folder right now. I mentioned that dashboard, and I have my dashboard open right here too. And let me just refresh that dashboard because this kind of tells me where things are. That job 7, once I initiated the workflow, it adds it to the dashboard. So job 7 is running down here. It's basically started because it's added, as you can see. And here are the 8 steps to the process. Again, you can have different order of these steps. You can have different types of steps. It really depends what you want to do. But it's the manage move module that guarantees success, and this dashboard that's governing a lot of this. And then you do what your business process, it walks you through it. And you can see we've got multiple jobs. They're primarily all happening by me, but we do have this one right here by the admin that's in there. And you can see I can get at the workflow status. I can get at if it's, I'm logged in as myself right now, I can get at my assignments, but I can't get at someone else's assignments. So security is being, and permissions are being, respected also right here. Okay, so the first step is kind of a manual step in the CN. This is following what CNL does. They have this concept of cross references. So I need to complete that task. And so here's my workflows assignment from within the Content Suite system. And basically my instructions, very simple here. It's a manual step. And when I complete this manual step, I would do it offline or however I need to complete it. I just need to click send on to get to the next stage of the workflow. So I'll click send on. And now I'm going to move to step 2. Remember, we're working on workflow job 7. Sometimes they come up in different sorted order. So here's job 7. I like to look at it this way personally. I now need to schedule the move. It's not so much schedule the move, I need to initiate the actual move. The first thing we initiated was the workflow process to set this up. And then we needed to check on the cross references too. And now what this is more of a wait step. In the situations like this, you can get a bunch of these jobs moving and they're going to work. And then you could basically, before you go home at night, come in here and initiate these, because we all know moving documents from one place of Content Server to another can take time depending on how many objects you're actually moving. So this was put in that way. Maybe you wanted to do it like when you went to lunch too, because once I click send on, it's physically going to move well, I don't know if it's physically, but electronically, it's going to move the folders and the database is going to be updated. So I'm going to send on right now. And you see my instructions. You can say whatever you want in these instructions and so forth, as you see. Send on, and now the move is occurring. As long as that move takes, it's actually running in the background. Once it's completed, it refreshes. I can track it from my dashboard. Here's job 7. Let's do a little refresh. You can now see that job 7 has moved all the way over to perform move is completed. So that move is done. And now we're at at step 4 in the workflow job process right here. And that's about, and again, this is their business process where they want to add a category or have the ability to add categories or review the categories. So there's multiple ways, whether I wanted to get at my assignments through my personal assignments, out of the box content server, or just get at it. Oh, where did it go? Let's refresh. There it is. Or get at it from my workflow assignment right here. Step 4, add additional categories. So this is telling me, hey, there's something I have to do with categories at this point. Here's my instructions. If this is, if we're doing this over and over again, you'll get used to this, but it gives me a shortcut, like a link, to take me right to that area to make those changes or add a category. And I already have these 3 categories on. If I wanted to add another one, I could use standard content server capability to add a category, or do whatever I want to do at this point. Okay.
So Brian, just to clarify, so this is a process that CNL was following, but if the customer had a different process, then you could have a different step too, right?
Exactly. They have business reasons why they're doing it this way. From a Fastman perspective, I could add a category through BDM, for instance, too,
Yeah,
while I'm doing the attributes. There's always multiple ways to skin the cat, as they may say.
Skin the cat. Yeah.
So let me come back to the dashboard, get to my workflow assignment real quick here. And basically all I need to do at this point is say it's completed. I didn't need to add a category. I'll just save some time there and I'll send it on. So now it's going to take me to my job 7. I'm at the BDM. The bulk data manager step you can see is about adding attributes to the categories. And what people like about this, I don't have to go outside of content server now to launch another application, the bulk data manager tool. It's tied in with the business process. Oh, I need to do this job and I need to use the BDM tool. Everything I need to know or do is in this screen. Today I'm running everything in these different tabs. These workflow tabs, I prefer sometimes dual monitor setup and so forth. So I might have these just pop up on a second monitor and keep it there while I'm doing my work on the other monitor. It's a personal preference, however you want. But when you're doing a video like this, it's just nice to keep it in single screen, right?
And I recall when we were building this solution that for CNL that one of their objectives was to remove the need for them to manage multiple pieces in different places. So they needed to bring it together into some sort of into an orchestrated process rather than to have to bounce around between different places in the system to do essentially what we're doing here as an orchestrated process. So
So it takes me to the BDM. It's a web-based downloadable application. Of course, I have to log in with my content server credentials. So I'm just going to log in to my demo system here. This is the first time I'm logging in, so today. Voila, loaded in. It's always painful when you have a long password, complicated password. And I apologize that I need to drag from my other monitor the BDM tools. Right now it is logging in, it's retrieving the categories and items. I have because it is our demo repository, we have quite a bit of information in there. We've been using this since, I don't know, 2012, 2013, something like that. So there is a lot of information in there right now. You can see the classifications loading. I think when it gets to about 350 or so, or is it 500? It's going a little higher even. Lots of classification. Is it higher than that? Look at that. But it'll pop up in 1 second here, and we're ready to go. So now we're at the stage where we can update the attributes. So BDM is a data migration tool it's built for end users to do migrations. So whether you're taking documents off shared drives and bringing them into a taxonomy and content server, or in this situation, we just want to update attributes on existing content in content server, which is a very quick and easy thing to do through this tool. But you have these different modules that we have that we can do a variety of things. As I mentioned, that one of the popular ones is the load taxonomy piece. But in this business use case, it's great that we can just update attributes directly from here. As I go update attributes, And you'll see where there's the connection between the bridge connector workflow process and BDM occurs here. I just click next. There's a save search within BDM that's going to find those records for me that I want to update on. I just run that save search right here. This is the nice thing. You can see I use it frequently. This is my last one. This is the latest one I need to run at the bottom here. Run search. These are all the objects that are found through that save search. So it's right there. I don't have to figure any of this stuff out. It's really just click, click, click. I'm going to highlight them all at this point. And when I click next, I can decide which categories I want to update attributes on. I can just do it to one of the categories or multiple. Really depends on your business rules here again. I'll choose 2 just for kicks right here. Click next. You want to scoot through here. And now it's going to present to me those records in somewhat of in the BDM interface here, but it looks like Excel at this point to make your changes. So if you want to add categories, and the nice thing about BDM is too, just for simplifications, if I just drop A here, it's going to drop A across everything. Drop B here. I always like that. It's going to respect if you have pick list of some kind. So internal. If I want to make any changes, if I want to, C, D, yellow means they're mandatory. Oh, guess what? I guess that's that too, Alistair. So let's just say this is in good order at this point. This is how, but you can make, if you wanted to pull this offline as an Excel spreadsheet, BDM has a lot of capability, but this is just doing a specific job in the business process that we're talking about today. So now I'm just going to update content server with these new attributes on these documents within the system. When I click finish, it's going to run the job. It's going to take just a couple seconds to do it, and it's going to give me a report telling me how successful it was. What did we do? We updated 24 items. All those attributes were imported into the system. Took 3 seconds to do it from my desktop computer out of the home office to the Azure cloud, halfway around the world, wherever it's hosted. And you can see some of the other jobs I've been working on the last few days that are sitting right here too. So nice thing about BDM, it keeps, here's the low taxonomy jobs I might have been working on, and here's my attributes. So as I'm working on a project, it's nice to be able to go back and have a history of things that I've done, right? And see the progress I'm making, and if I ever have to do any troubleshooting. So with this said, I'm done with this step of the workflow. I can just close it down. Any feedback, Alistair? Anything to comment on?
No, I'm actually quite enjoying watching someone else demonstrate BDM. Right? So I've done it so many times over the years. It's nice to see it working for you.
I appreciate that.
And it's kind of, I think you touched on a really good point though. With this process, it looks kind of, like the follow the bouncing ball thing. BDM's got a lot of smarts. I mean, we haven't got the permissions manager yet. That's one of the next steps. But yeah, but it's got a lot of smarts in there. And the bridge connector brings those together, which we talked about in the presentation part of this webinar. But no, I'm enjoying watching this. If you want any input, let me know.
Will do. So it takes me back at this point. I need to complete my task in the workflow so it can send it on to the next step, which would be step 6, which is related to permissions. So I'll just send it on. You can see my job, and you can see these are other workflows that I have in flight, job 1, 3, 5, and so forth, but I'm focused on job 7 today. So I'm just going to keep focusing. Now we're at the permissions manager step. Call these steps whatever you want. Again, I need to update the permissions on these. Nice thing is I have this search object here that it's just going to take me directly to those documents that I updated the attributes on already. What did I do? I moved them, added a category, added attributes. I'm going to set permissions now. It takes me directly to it. This one's in process. So you can see all the different jobs I've been working on. But let's, job 7's one that I've been is the latest one to come in because we moved it to this location. And if I want to make changes, maybe I just want to make some, I know what I want to do. I could apply a template if we had one at this point, whatever I need to do. Full permissions manager out-of-the-box functionalities at your fingertips here from the dashboard, as you can see from our solution here. This is the Fastman Permissions Manager, and I can update using the Fastman Permissions Manager update tool here. Maybe I want to downgrade for one of my groups access. You know, I can allow them to see these things, but I don't want them to change anything or modify anything on them. And I'll update that. Close, refresh. What I like about BDM too is when I come down here immediately, I know from doing my jobs that the permissions on all these subfolders need to be the same. You can see on job 5, I haven't got to, it's at a stage in the workflow where I haven't reset the permissions. So I can tell, oh, that's pending too. But now job 7 is the same color as these other ones. So I know they all have, just from that, quickly know that the permissions are the same. I can inspect it further. If they need to be different, we can, you know, they're different than up top here, of course. All that.
You could drill in the permissions manager on job 7 as well, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You could just, if you wanted to get into a more granular level on each one of the items in there, you could just choose the permissions manager from the drop-down box in job 7 against the job 7. Yeah,
we can pull it
good
up here.
Yep.
Cool. So this is, you know, we can talk forever about permissions manager, right, Alistair? So
that's right.
so we'll come back. We'll complete our work. So I'm completing my job, my work for step 6. So I'm moving along nicely. I'll just click send on. And by the way, the dashboard, this is what the dashboard does for you. It tracks this at any given time. I can come back to my dashboard. You can see job 7 is just moving along very smoothly. And now I'm at number 7 right here. I can come back to my tab. I have that task, but let's just say I went to lunch and shut everything down and I want to come in and find out where I am. I can come back to that workflow assignment step right here. Or even yet, let me just take you into the workflow status. If I wanted to actually go look at the contents of the workflow status, okay, here we go right here, the general details. And if I go to the map view, you know, we've been talking, we've displayed this a few times in the presentation. This is where that map view is. And you can see I'm on the rename moved items step right now within the map view too. So all out of the box functionality is being displayed right here. We have our audit trail keeping track of things too. Here are all the steps that have occurred in the workflow and so forth, which is kind of nice. So let's go back to my assignment. Here's my assignment. What do I got to do here now? Oh, I have to rename some moved items. Oh, that's an easy job. So let me just click. Oh, I got a handy little hyperlink that'll take me to that piece of the job here. What do I got to do? I got to rename this. That's right. I want it to look like the others. So I want job 7 to say completed. Just for demonstration purposes, that's what I'm doing. So I call it completed. And then I can just apply and update these changes. I'm not changing job 5 because it's still, I know it's in process. I have a collection, by the way, you can use this on you can move content out of collections. That's kind of one of the use cases of the CNL folks too.
Yeah, it's a good feature that.
Absolutely, the collections. If you have a collection, you can create a collection and then move that content in that collection to another location. And that's that shopping cart feature that we were talking about earlier. So, so now the folders are renamed. I'm done at this point. Oh, there's one last delete in any empty folders. There's sometimes there's cleanup that occurs when you're moving stuff around. So this is reminding me to do my cleanup before I can complete the workflow. And here's what did I do? I think I messed with my little tabs. Where'd it go?
Next one over, I think second to the last tab.
Well, I'm gonna redo it.
Okay.
Because what's it doing? Generating a saved search here, basically. So this is everything that it's pulling up. If I actually wanted to delete this empty folder right now, I can get at delete and delete it. And so if I want it, I can delete that folder right here. Called an empty folder for demonstration purposes and makes it easy for us to follow along when we're demonstrating too. Okay, so I did the work that I need to do on this situation. It's going to be it's going to look, if I come into the container itself, this is basically, I can eyeball it right here. This is what I want this container of information to look like. I know that I have the right categories on it. I know I have the right attributes on it. I know I have the right permissions on it already, and I cleaned it up for the last step. It's in good order. When I know that's done, I can come back and complete my work. By completing my job, send on, it basically will complete this job and take it off my list.
And so in this case, the customer only wanted to show jobs that were in flight in the dashboard.
Yeah,
if the requirement was to show all items, that wouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, I mean, the workflows are there. They're essentially completed workflows at that point, so that can be displayed, or I'm sure there'll be a variety of nuances with any use case that we have. But I wanted to at least give a sense of what's possible.
Yep.
And from here, you adapt it to what you need to do. But you can see it's a very useful and handy tool. And when you connect it to the other out-of-the-box solutions, so you may have some other tools that you like to use that you want to connect to it. But it's that manage move module that you get, which shows up in any container, whether it's a collections container or a regular normal container. It does the checks behind the scenes. It's the dashboard, the workflow driving the process, and the interoperability connections with the other products.
It was actually really good to be able to see it in action. And as we said, it's just an example of isn't it? It's an example of how it can be used, and it's a nice add-on to BDM if you've got a BDM at the moment, in particular, Permissions Manager too. But it's a really nice little add-on to BDM. It's not a super expensive extra module. We're not getting into pricing here today, but it's not super expensive, and it does use out of the box, as you saw. And I should say that Brian's not a highly technical. He's very competent, but he's not a highly technical trained, content server admin. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to, but that gives you an idea of the sort of skill. Obviously, Brian knows his way around the product, and he knows how to drive content server and so on, and that's what you need. But this is intended to be used by business users, good, competent business users of the system. Should be able to use this product.
I think it's more important to know your data, know your content, what it is, how you want it to display, why you want it to do that, than to actually be technical on these systems. If you know the content, what it is, where it came from, and how you want to transform it, and understand that, and what the outcomes are, that business part of it is probably the more critical part.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And so I hope everyone enjoyed this practical demonstration that we've included in today's webinar. And at this point, we'll pass back to the main part of the webinar.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for the most powerful presentation. It's good. I've got a couple of questions in here, actually. Interesting. Didn't believe that this many come in. So are you ready for the first question?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Interesting enough. How does the bridge connector install? Does it and what does it takes to run? Right?
Sure. Well, let's just cover the different pieces of it again. The bridge connector itself really is focused in on that manage move module that I talked about. And then it also has a content server workflow item to it, and it has the web report or a live report, whichever one you want to use. So those are all standard content server components. So there's no additional infrastructure for any of this stuff. It'll install as a standard OScript module, and you'll have administrative screens within Content Suite administrative section of your system to do a little bit of the configuration. So it's a very small footprint, quite frankly. There's other components that are there, such as Permissions Manager, which is also an OScript module, and then BDM, Bulk Data Manager, is a separate application too that would need to be looked at and installed. But if you already have them running, the bridge connector itself is a small footprint. How's that?
Well, thank you. I hope we have answered your question to the person who raised this. Yeah, someone have noticed as well. You mentioned about scripting earlier. So the question actually is asking, does this need to be done by a business analyst to do the scripting, or how technical does it need to be, and what are the training effort for? I guess this person who's asking this is probably an end user. What are the training effort required as well?
Yeah. No, yeah, another good question. I think during the presentation, this solution kind of replaces the effort that might have been required by doing scripting. So instead, with the bridge connector, it's an out-of-the-box tool that allows essentially non-technical people to perform the move functionality. So the requirement there is, yeah, it's just the business users can use this. They don't have to be technical. They just need to be functionally, trained on content server and some of the basic concepts of how their ECM or their OpenText content suite system runs. So it doesn't take a technical person to run it.
Okay. Yep. Will the bridge connector solution override the limit content suite has on items that can be moved?
Right.
Yeah.
That's that move throttle question sometimes that we get, and that's like a global setting on your content suite system that's set. So I mean the idea is that so people don't go in there normally and hit move and move a million items and take down the system. So you as a content, you're probably aware, as a content suite administrator, have the ability to set that. So that's the thing with the bridge connector. It doesn't override that. It actually respects that. But what it does is it actually checks that before it actually starts any effort. And so that way, that's just basically one of the checks that the bridge connector is going to do through the manage move. That way, the user will know right up front if there's a problem with the type of move they're trying to do, and it'll give them a warning. Hey, you're exceeding the move throttle. And so it does honor that, which is by design.
That's a good feature that we have considered as well. Thank you. Right. I guess this is from someone who knows us pretty well. Do I need to own both the bulk data manager and permissions manager module to take advantage of our managed move solution here?
Yeah, no, that's a good question too.
Hmm.
It is incorporated into the bridge connector as one of the steps, both BDM and permissions manager. But if your business process doesn't require either one of those, you can actually substitute it with another step or just eliminate it. I think I showed you on one of the earlier screens, you have these different steps that it go through. You can add more steps to the process or remove steps from the process or change steps. So if you're using some other tool for where BDM is, you could actually use a different tool for import or whatever you're doing. So it's not required to own BDM or permissions manager.
And wow, good one. I like this kind of question. Do you offer any evaluations?
Yeah, we do. Actually, that's a normal approach that
Yeah.
customers take. They want to know how it works in their environment. Everybody's content suite environments seem to be set up a certain way, how they got it deployed and so forth. So we do have a process to do an evaluation, and we're happy to just have a little discovery session with you to kind of talk about what the requirements are on your side, and then happy to schedule an evaluation with you. It's actually a very common request and things that and it's one of the normal ways we work with our customers too.
Thank you. I think that's the end of the questions. And thank you, participants. You notice there on the screen, we have shown you the contact points. Know that this Solex event is run, concurrently, for users to dial in from all regions. So Brian Lapone, he's based out in Americas. Okay, his contact is there. I'm here in APJ region to serve you as well. And then we have Alistair Grigg, who is covering for the EMEA and Middle East Africa region as well. So you have our contacts. And the other good news is that we'll be sharing this recording with you. And we will still be manning the booth here for the next 2 days. So do drop by, pick up any data sheets you need. Of course, it's electronic data sheets, as well as any other information or you'd like to chat with us. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, everyone.